So the second bead is what I call the heart bead with the horizontal hole, and these are really nice for like necklaces or so, you know, that lay short on your chest, and bracelets maybe. And here we have two different options. I might show you both. One is where the hole is very high in the bead, so that when you wear it as a necklace, it always hangs down. But you can make the same bead where the hole is more in the center for bracelets and so. So this is kind of a different approach. And I'm using I don't know what this is. It's kind of like a very, very pale aqua that has kind of striations in it. And this was just on my table, so I thought this might be nice. So what you do is you just heat the mandrel, heat the tip, and you're going to make a mostly donut shaped bead, not super skinny, but it's not a round bead. So the size of the bead that you make here is of course depending on the size of the bead that you want to make. So a little bit bigger. So let's say this would be good enough. This is going to be a fairly small bead, and I hope that you can see the contrast to my background. This might not have been the best color. I might have to make another one. So make sure that this bead is nice and centered and kind of like that. And you want to make sure that this bead is relatively cold, so when we make the second bead next to that this one doesn't melt right away. So I place the second bead very close to it, but I don't really want it to touch. So you have a very small gap, and now you can make a bead that is about the same size, which is easy because that first bead is still there and it gives you your marching orders for that second bead. A little bit more, and my second bead is a little lopsided, so now I'm going to focus the heat on the right bead so that the left bead doesn't move. And you know, when you melt them down to about the same heights, you can also see whether they have the same thickness. Yeah, that second bead is definitely lopsided, but we just pretend we don't see that. So you let both beads cool off, and then you heat them at the same time. So see how they're starting to glow. And once before they get out of control, take the mashers and mash them to about the thickness that you want your bead to be, and see how they touched up here. So now you have two choices. You can have this side up, or you can have that side up. So I typically go for the side that is more even. And then take my glass again. So you just keep this warm, and you see that there is a gap down here. So I'm trying to fill that gap with nice liquid glass. So I'm just pushing the glass into that little crack. So that way, that doesn't, you don't see that anymore. And now you can be a little bit sloppy, so you can just add glass. I add glass a little bit to the right here, and I always pull the glass to the bottom. So it almost looks like a heart. And there's still a little hole, so I put some more glass on there. Glass on the right, glass on the left, and you pull it towards the bottom. So you can see with this heart that the hole goes through the top. Now I'm just gonna even out all this glass, and then I might need to see if you hold it sideways and see that there is less glass on the bottom part than there is glass on the top. So I just add some more glass where I think it's needed. So it's needed on the back of the bead, and I just swipe towards the bottom. So now I need to put the heat on the center there and make sure all this glass, and you can kind of tap down with the masher, and there is still a lot less glass on the bottom, but also this heart is very long. And of course you can make hearts any length, so just keep pushing. And now you see that there is a step down from here, so there's some glass missing there. You can do either add glass or just put heat on that entire side of your heart and push it into a straight line. Same with the other side. Put heat on that whole side, and then with whatever tool you have, push it down. And always hold it sideways, and you see how this is going downwards. There might be enough glass, but you don't want to have that downwards angle, so you heat the whole bottom part of the bead and mash it. And basically you can also use your masher as, you know, just to even those lines out. And then if you wanted to have a more succinct or more obvious crack, you just put some heat up there and then go in with the tool and cut it down a little bit longer. And see, now there's much more of a curve on the left than on the right. And with these hearts, you know, you can fiddle forever to get them exactly the same, but it's not all that important. So from the side it looks like this. It's still a little bit sloping down, so you heat that and push it forward. And that would be your basic heart shape that you can now decorate in any way you want. So now I'm going to put this aside, and I'm going to make another one, maybe with a different color, and I'm going to try to move the hole more towards the center. So I'm going to use green, a green heart, why not? Again, I'm using a 1/16 mandrel because these are oftentimes, you know, when you make these beads, they're used for bracelets and necklaces, and you might not want a big hole. They might be easier to string if they have a smaller hole. So I'm doing the same. I'm starting out with the same idea of making two donut-shaped beads. And if you want to have your hole in the middle, you can make your beads slightly taller if you want to. These beads are really fun to make because you can just slop on glass. You know, it's fun. You don't have to be like super precise. So here's my first bead, it's leaning a little bit to the outwards. So make sure that you take this out of the flame and let it cool off. Then we put the second bead close to it, not touching. So maybe this close, because you've seen when you mash these together, the beads are close enough that they will touch when you mash them together. So a little bit more on this side here. Always look at how tall the bead to the left is, and this could be a little bit bigger, the one on the right. It's not that easy to get two round beads the same. Now I'm focusing the heat on the bead to the right, and what I notice is that that bead is a little bit skinnier, so I just shrink it down a little bit more. And so let this cool off. You want both, when you heat these up to mash them down, you want both beads to be about the same temperature. So you have to let that one on the right cool off a little bit more. And now I just heat them quickly and mash them together. And maybe you can see the difference here. I don't see the difference. So in order to keep the hole in the middle, you not only have to add, let's see which one is, these are more even, so I add my heart body down there, so I push into that crevice, and just melt this off somehow in the middle. And you see that I'm always wiggling my rod. And now we add some glass to the top, and that will push the hole further in the middle. So try to get the same amount of glass on top. And again, with that very first bead that we made, you always want to do one side at a time. You never get the whole bead. So put some heat. You can even let it hang down, then it will stretch, you know, in this direction a little bit. If you hold it up like this, the lobe of the heart will go more this way. If you hold it straight, it will go straight down. So you can add as much glass as you want to the top, and you see that green, unfortunately, I probably shouldn't have used it. The pea green is a glass that they say it kind of holds its history. So when you use pea green and you add glass to it, you always see where you added the glass. So you can swipe a little bit and see now the hole is almost in the middle. And how far in the middle it is depends on where you add the glass. So now I'm just adding glass to the bottom part to get that, you know, where I added it into the crack. And now I'm starting at the mandrel with the magic wand, and I'm pushing towards the bottom. Now, of course, the whole thing has moved downwards. So you take your masher, and I always start at the mandrel where I want to push the glass inwards. And then all you have to do is just smooth out everything and cut more of a crack up there. And it's still not exactly in the middle, but it's a lot further down. So let's say you say, oh, damn, I just added too much glass to the bottom. You just heat the bottom and remove some glass by pulling it straight down and kind of move everything so that it's in a straight line. So your masher is always a good option, because the masher keeps everything straight like that. And just do these little final touches, and here's the heart that is more towards the center. And now you can do whatever you want, put dots on it and whatever. So that's how to make sculptural hearts.